So, Lucas, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Rog. How are you, man?
Good, very well. I've noticed we're on completely different time zones. I'm on what, 16 minutes past 9 in the evening. What time is it for you?
Yeah, quarter past 8 a.m. in the morning. So, yeah,
Past
nice
8.
and early.
Nice. What time do you normally wake up?
I usually get up around 5:30, 6 a.m.
Oh,
During the
lovely.
week. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Do you have like a little morning ritual when you wake up to get yourself going, or you just it changes every day? How does it work for you?
Yeah, actually, well, since lockdown, I actually got my hands on a walking treadmill desk. So, first thing I do when I get up now is actually just do some very like moderate intensity cardio, like fasted cardio. I find that's been really good, just a really great way to start the day. Um, and just generally like feeling more switched on, more alert. And I also plan out my day when I start that. So yeah, I've
Mm.
been really enjoying that. I've become really addicted to my walking treadmill desk.
That's awesome. I need to get one of those. I've seen
Yeah.
a few. It's like it's trending at the moment. Forget the election. That is what is trending right now. Seriously, one of those walking desks. I need to get that for real. That's cool, man. That's cool. So on Instagram, you go by the name Ergogenic Health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I came across your page. I think you commented on someone else's page, and I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting comment. Let me just have a little nose and see what's going on." So I clicked on your username, and I just saw this perfectly structured layout of a profile with like bold words, nice imagery, and all this great description for a caption on everything. I was like, wow, this is truly organized. And I was like, this is incredible. And one of the main things that really stood out to me about your page was you would find a typical topic which most people will talk about, but you would not talk about the typical thing that people would talk about. It's so interesting. Like you'll find a subject, and then maybe in a person's head, they'll be able to associate with it, but then you'll write something completely different.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh, but did you know this? And I think
Yeah.
one of the things I was reading recently, I think he was talking about eggplant. And I don't even know if I knew anything about eggplant, but then you were saying something about, well, did you know it has nicotine? And I was like,
Mm,
what? Nicotine? Seriously? And that was,
yeah.
to me, that was just random,
Yeah.
but it was very interesting. I'm sure, I know you put like a lot more detail there. I know you put down the amount of milligrams per eggplant. And, in order to get the same amount of a cigarette, you need to eat, I don't know, a certain amount of eggplants, which I'm not sure a person would do just for some nicotine.
Mm,
But it was really interesting nonetheless.
mm,
But like, so on your page, you give all these really interesting stuff on, I guess like maybe functional medicine side of things.
mm.
But what is your background, and where did you come up with the name Ergogenic Health? Yeah, tell me a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. So I guess my journey really started out as a professional soccer player. I was always sort of trying to figure out more about my physiology and understand what I could take or what I could eat or what I could do to improve my performance on the soccer field. Um, and then from there, I sort of got involved in like a startup, which was like a nootropics startup here in Melbourne. I helped to like formulate a product with some novel ingredients that people, again, not many people know about. Because I think that's really one of my core drivers is that like I want to share things that people have never heard about. Because
Hmm.
I'm the guy who sits behind the computer, checks his PubMed research notifications every morning, and then I'm like, what can I add to the table? What can I bring? What value can I add to the world? And that for me is like you hit the nail on the head. I talk about things that are kind of underground, slightly fringe, but still research backed. Yeah, so that's definitely one of the hallmark, like my hallmark drivers is like I want to share things that's novel, so like unique, and basically just show people that I know my stuff. And I think the Instagram is a great way to do that, and it has been a great way. And now the plan is to just expand upon that and, you know, build a YouTube channel, which I've just released a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, just to go back to your question, I studied exercise science for a year and a half, and sort of, you know, exited that, and now I transitioned into my naturopathy degree, which I'm in my final trimester. It's a 4-year degree, so I'm just finishing off my naturopathy degree sort of as we speak.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what started your journey exactly?
I guess actually when I come back to that question, it's a common trait amongst, I guess, in general, like high performers, and that is not feeling good enough. It really stems all the way back to just not feeling good enough, either at, you know, at school, or even though I was getting like distinctions and good marks and things, I was always like not feeling good enough. Just a high achiever in general. But even like, you know, playing soccer, that's where I, you know, not feeling like I was performing good enough, not meeting my coach's expectations at a very young age. So I think that really was like the hallmark driver for me to sort of delve into, right, you know, if I'm not feeling good enough, how can I make up for that using like biohacking, nootropics, supplements, different modalities, lifestyle therapies, hacking my sleep. And then from there, just really just fell in love with taking control of your physiology. I love that idea of having full control. It's very empowering. You feel very, I don't know what it is. Like, do you feel the same way at all? Like just having that. Yeah.
It's really empowering. You know, it started off for me. I used to sprint as a kid, and I remember watching some of the sprinters as they was running, and I used to play it back in slow motion on the TV, and you would just see the rippling muscles, and I was like, wow, I want that. So from there, I learned you needed to do some resistance training. So that's when I started to do resistance training. I slowly started to see, you know, physically my body was changing and I was feeling stronger, and naturally I wanted to eat the foods which is going to complement my training. And as these things started to synergize together, you start to look a bit further into nutrition and just lifestyle altogether. And as I started to get older, and now we've got this thing called biohacking, wow, it can go into so many different directions. It's such an amazing thing, you know, taking the steering wheel of your health and just having full control of it. I find it fascinating. You Man, you talk about so many different things. I don't even know where to start. But let's talk about nootropics, because I know that's an area which you specialize in. I've tried so many different nootropics, and I got to say that I don't know. I think many of them are rubbish. You know, I'm not going to mention any names because that will be cruel. But I've had companies send me stuff, and I've been excited, thinking, yeah, I'm gonna open up my mind. I'm gonna be able to, I don't know, maybe create some kind of flow state in my head. I think that's like the ultimate goal for so many people. They want that flow state, you know. And I know there's certain breathing exercises which you can do in order to achieve that, in order to, you know, achieve that higher state. But yeah, with some nootropics, some of them are terrible. There's one which I thought was okay. I think it's called Troscription, and they've got a combination of CBD, nicotine, caffeine, and methylene blue. I think it was like 1 milligram of each or something like that. And I found that is pretty good. If I don't abuse it, use it too often, my body will clear of it, and the next time I take it, you know, my body will respond nice and well. That's a nice little combination. From your experience in studying nootropics, what would you say are the fundamentals to get some kind of cognitive lift from
Mm.
these nootropics
Yeah. Well, I
ingredients?
guess it really comes back to, I guess, what the individual's goals are, like whether they want to increase focus, improve short-term memory, improve arousal or wakefulness, or reduce anxiety. It sort of comes back to understanding the person's desires or goals, understanding where they're wanting to deploy these nootropics. So, for example, what's the environment in which they want to use them? Do they want to use them for studying? Do they want to use them on stage as a comedian? Do they want to, do they want to use it at a party or things like that to reduce anxiety, to boost the confidence? So it really does come back to what the person's goals are. Because I've constructed stacks, like certain nootropic stacks for myself, that have been absolutely phenomenal, particularly in like a social or party setting, where I've been able to mimic the effects of, say, drinking or, just feeling disinhibited, like socially a bit loose, feeling confident, like just sort of in the flow state without actually drinking alcohol. So like that's an example of, like, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to customize and put together these particular compounds, you can really, man, you can blow. I mean, some of the things that have come out of my mouth, like I've just been like, what did I just say, man? Like, it's just, yeah.
What sort of examples of if somebody wanted to study, like they want sharp focus, what is a good one for them?
Okay, so for sharp focus, I would lean towards compounds that work on acetylcholine. So acetylcholine is that is a neurotransmitter that governs and regulates focus, memory, and executive function. So for me, I'd say I'd lean towards one of my favorites, which is Uridine Monophosphate.
Wow.
Um, that one there is, you'll see it used in a few nootropic stacks, but I also see it used in the wrong, like, sort of, they tend to combine it with other ingredients that sort of offset the beneficial effects. So between 150 to 200 milligrams of uridine monophosphate can really sort of light up the brain, improve mental clarity, improve that sort of verbal fluency and that just focus. So that's one really cool one. And then we have other ones, like one that's actually from Russia. Now this one is, have you heard of like adaptogens before?
Yeah, I've got a ton of them in the house.
Yeah, so this one here was actually the very first synthetic adaptogen ever developed.
Oh wow.
So a lot of them are you've got rhodiola, the ginsems, like all of those adaptogenic herbs. But this one from Russia is called bromantane. So it's got bro, man, and tane, and that's
All
that
right.
one there is it's basically, like I said, it's the very first synthetic adaptogen. It was actually used by cosmonauts and by Russian athletes to fight fatigue and combat physical and psychological stress. That sort of normalizes and modulates the body. So that's another one there that's quite, I guess, not really well known again. That one completely blew me away when I first tried it. I was just an absolute beast for like 12 hours.
Wow. I'm guessing that's something you can't just get on the internet.
Well, it is available. It is accessible now. It's pretty easily accessible. I've got various vendors like on my website. Like reliable ones, because it's not, you've got to be careful with these, particularly with nootropics. Like, you got to be really careful because a lot of them are faked, or the quality's poor, things like that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right. So could you use the same type for if you was talking on a stage, or would you need something else?
Oh, okay. So when it comes to feeling socially loose, or I guess like
Mm.
maybe having that confidence, for example, sometimes you feel like you might be in a social setting and you're too stuck in your own head. Like you just,
Yeah.
you're just overthinking things. You're stuck in your own head. You're not able to just be carefree and loose and just be able to be so expressive that
Mm.
it's free flowing and it's just happy days, because you say whatever you want. You're not worried about the repercussions. You're just free flowing.
Mm.
I mean, I've formulated, there's one herb from Brazil that I got my hands on that really enhanced, like it really improved that aspect of my confidence. And it was really pronounced. I tried every like Saturday, like every weekend. And after a couple of hours after I took it in like it was a herbal extract. So this is a
Mm.
herbal based product. It's called Catwaba. And
Katwaba.
yeah,
Mm.
Catwaba. That one there is used, if you go to Brazil, I haven't been yet, but I will one day. But if you go to Brazil and you mention Catwaba,
Get arrested. No, joking.
you'll find that a lot of them know it. A lot of them have used the herb. They actually use it as an aphrodisiac, because it does heighten like sexual sensitivity and things like that. So
Wow.
yeah, Catwaba is, and there's a link there, by the way. There's a major link there between sexual confidence and also social confidence. If we look at the neurotransmitters, the pathways there, it's very much linked, which is interesting.
Wow, my mind's going all over the place right now. This is pretty interesting. Did you say you sell that on the website, or you just checked it out for yourself, or it's part of something that you've put together? This
So
Katwaba. I think
this
I'm
Catwaba,
very interested in that.
yeah, this one's really really novel. I did use it in a formula that we almost got to market. It was called Brain-X. It was Catwaba was the main ingredient,
Mm.
but fortunately, due to all the restrictions here in Australia, it was very difficult to get to manufacture and get to market. Um, but it's on the table. It's there. I know one day, eventually, maybe the opportunity will present itself, and we can get it to market. But this Catwaba you can get as a herbal extract. And I can send you reliable vendors. We can show you which companies that I've used. Um, but that one there, you can literally use that alone, like as a standalone,
Hmm.
a couple of hours before you go out, or if you want to, be social, or you don't want to drink alcohol, and you're like, right, I want to use something else.
Yeah.
Um, that's where Catwaba can really come in handy, and it sort of tickles the opioid receptors as well. It doesn't have this typical, like, some of the powerful oxycodones, and it doesn't have the same opioid like effect, but it does
Yeah.
have a really mild analgesic effect as well. And I think part of that opioid activity is what makes you feel comfortable. Because remember, if you feel comfortable within, and that's what opioids do, they make you feel comfortable because they're providing um, pain alleviation and or pleasure. Then think about how you can use that in a social environment, or even in the gym, for example, to you know just just absolutely kick ass.
Mm, that sounds really interesting. I like that. Yeah, definitely send me a link on that. I want to check that out.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
as you're talking about these things, I remember seeing somewhere on a post, so a combination of things. You was talking about adaptogens, and we're talking about nootropics, and also lion's mane came to my mind. And I know that lion's mane is supposed to be good for, like, you know, cognitive enhancement. And, but then the downside is it can affect you sexually.
Mm.
You wrote that, and I was like, wait, I'm having this like every day. Okay, let me just step back, you know. And I thought, let me just speak to you about that. Could you like open that up a bit more? Like, tell me a bit more as to why it would affect uh, male and females
Mm.
sexually.
Yeah. So, and this is something I've discussed quite a lot with a few other guests and things like that. But basically, it comes back to, I mean, there's constituents and chemicals found within lion's mane, the mushroom, that can block an enzyme known as 5-alpha reductase. And 5-alpha reductase is what converts testosterone into DHT. Now, you'll hear all over people, like on the web, people talk about how DHT causes male pattern baldness or prostate issues and acne and things like that. That is not entirely the case. There's actually a lot of other factors that play a role in those conditions. But when it comes to like sexuality and libido and things like that, and from a brain perspective, just feeling like you've got that interest, if you block the DHT production in the brain, you're affecting a lot of the other neurotransmitters that DHT affects, and also some of the metabolites of DHT, such as allopregnanolone, can really influence just general like libido and sexual interest. So you'll see many report, and I was one of the guys that got like pretty severely affected by lion's mane in the early days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, right.
Well,
So
did you have like music playing, like romantic music playing, candle and stuff, and then you're both just sitting there like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, okay, so yeah. So how did you find out?
it was, yeah, basically I lost my morning wood, like
Right.
that completely disappeared after about 2 weeks of usage. And then, yeah, just in general, like, as I was dating, I wasn't really feeling my typical self.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I know a lot of other guys have also reported the same effects. You know, if you go online, you'll see so many Reddit threads of guys complaining of this exact same issue. So I think it's important to, I mean, it doesn't apply to everyone. Not every guy gets affected by a lion's mane.
Not that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like obviously there are a lot of other benefits to the mushroom, like immune health, brain health, things like that. So I just think that like I know a lot of guys, they don't want to lose that component of their manhood, and I think for them, I know I can relate and empathize with them because it's like, right, I'm taking this mushroom to improve my focus at work or my productivity, but when it comes to getting it on, like it's not.
One head
It's
is working, the other head is not. Like, yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. I have to think about that now. Interesting. I wonder why it would affect some and not others. Because in the morning, yeah, I don't have an issue there, or any other way. Interesting.
Mm,
Well, yeah, I'll definitely look a bit further into that.
yeah.
So, what other things would be good as a nootropic? So you got things that can help you with focus. You got the I don't know, a more social one, and social sexual. What others did you say? Was there any other
Uh,
types?
Other ones such as like just to reduce brain fog, like, or general something that can enhance like verbal fluency. So
Ooh,
like
right.
just being able to find the right word very quickly, or accessing, unique vocabulary, if you want to call it.
Ooh, give me some of that.
Yeah. So it's going to come back to things that work on that acetylcholine side of things. So
Acetylcholine.
one that I found was quite effective in that department was actually a combination of sublingual royal jelly, so royal jelly, and also artichoke extract as well. So
Mm.
that combination there I found was quite good at just, I guess, alleviating the brain fog, feeling sort of witty and switched on verbally, and just, yeah, I guess enhancing that ability to sort of articulate your ideas instead of feeling a little bit like there's like I don't know, like there's dust in your brain or whatever. Like sometimes it just doesn't feel like things are fired on completely. Sublingual royal jelly and artichoke extract can do a pretty good job at giving you like a 4 to 6 hour burst of really good mental clarity without it being like a typical stimulant such as caffeine or um, nicotine, things like that. So that's another really good option.
Mm. That's amazing. I know that sometimes I've heard of people having all these different nootropics, but they still feel as though their brain is not firing up.
Mm.
What do you think that could be? Toxins in the food they eat, or
Yeah, and
um,
it's a good point because I always say nootropics are like the icing on the cake, but really it comes back to if you've got brain fog, we need to strip it back all the way back and be like, right, does this person have a thyroid dysfunction? Does this person have a nutrient deficiency somewhere? Does this person have adrenal dysfunction? We need to look at obviously looking at the body as very like a holistic fashion. And as you said as well, like with the heavy metals and toxins, man, they can absolutely wreak havoc with, in particular, brain function as well. Because a lot of these heavy metals are fat soluble, and the brain is made up of primarily fat. So you can imagine where they like to store and accumulate.
mm,
Um, yeah.
yeah. And funny enough, it's mentioned. Obviously, fish has a lot of fat, which is good for the brain. But if you're not careful, then you can also accumulate a lot of heavy metal from that fish. You
Mm.
know, so yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. um, okay, so your page is filled up with so many different foods and all these amazing stuff. I think on there you're talking about lemon as well.
Mm.
Bitter lemon. I think you mentioned it lowers your blood sugar levels. Um, yeah, you could use it to hack your blood sugar level. And I've never thought of like bitter lemon that way.
Oh,
Um,
the bit of melon. Yeah,
is it melon?
yeah.
Oh, my bad. Okay, but yeah, bitter melon. That's it. Yeah, yeah. That's very interesting. Where did you get that information? PubMed.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Could you explain how this works, and
Sure.
yeah, how a person could add it to their diet and
Mm.
as a benefit for them?
Mm. So with bitter melon, there's compounds found within the fruit, not the seeds, within the fruit
Hmm.
that uh, can basically mimic some of the effects of insulin in the body. So what that means is that it can help to reduce the body's total demand to use insulin to lower the sugar. So I'll
Right.
put it really simply for your audience. So like basically one of insulin's functions is to help unlock sugar to enter into the muscle or liver, or other tissues, right? So bitter melon its compounds can actually help with basically lowering blood sugar by mimicking insulin targeting the liver to improve glucose metabolism, and then it can also support the pancreas. The pancreas is where the body creates insulin, the beta cells. It can actually help to support pancreatic beta cell function. So we've got, and there's so many other pathways and receptors and things like that that it works on. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole there. In terms of like, how can people use it? Like, to put it in layman's terms, well, I don't, it's hard to get my hands on the actual bitter melon here. Like, we don't actually have, it's difficult to find. I don't know if is it the same for you or?
No, bitter melon. No, I don't think I've seen that. Like,
Yeah.
If you're talking about like watermelon, no, yeah, but bitter melon, no, no, I ain't seen that.
Yeah. So instead, I got myself like a good quality bitter melon extract, one that's been studied, and so I'll just pop one of those like 20 to 30 minutes before. Let's say I'm having a binge. I know I'm going to have a binge or whatever. I'm going to go out. I know I'm going to eat donuts or whatever. That's when I'll, use something like bitter melon to, even though I know it's obviously like, it's okay to let loose and have fun, but at the same time, like, I know that if I want to keep my body composition well and things like that, then I think it's a really smart strategy for those who don't want to feel as bad for letting loose. That's basically what I'm doing.
I like that. I always got this sort of mitigation plan when I'm going out. I have some digestive enzymes. I'll knock more back if I'm going to, binge on something which might be high glycemic, for instance. You've got bioptimizers, which have, bioptimizers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've got the gluten guardian. So if I decide I want a bit of gluten, it helps to break down the gluten, with no struggle. And also it's got like lots of enzymes for the carbohydrates, so I can not feel as bad. What else? I know that there's some other things that I do, but yeah, I'm going to throw that in the mix. Should I find it in the shop?
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's a real good one.
Mm.
What's your thoughts on, I know you mentioned about Cacao Nibs being very, very good. I can't remember what it was good for. Cacao Nibs. What did you say it was good for?
So, it's good because it contains theobromine, which is like a long-lasting and mild sort of stimulant. That's like, if you look at it, I think the Greek word for theobromine is like food of the gods.
I like that.
Yeah. But that one there, obviously, cacao nibs contain more than just theobromine. There's a lot of other constituents and chemicals, as with all these amazing herbs. That's one thing to really highlight, is that when we look at these herbs and when we look at, for example, lion's mane, what happens is in science is that we will think that it's one constituent found within the herb that has the effects, right? That has the mood or the increases nerve growth factor. But really, when we look at the herb, there are thousands of chemicals, constituents, things like that. And it's what's known as the entourage effect, which is the amazing synergy of all these constituents that actually lead to a better net effect than just the one. That's what, big pharma, for example, metformin, for example, that's a constituent that's sort of been derived from a plant. So when it comes to, that's why, the thing is though, I'm not fully, I'm sort of in the middle. My dad's a pharmacist. I've worked in that space, so I know that sort of background. But I'm also, studying naturopathy, so I'm sort of in the middle, like, but both, I see both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say Cacao Nibs has the same nutritional value as cacao powder?
it there would be a lot of similarities in terms of its nutritional breakdown, but in terms of the total amount of, like, say, caffeine or theobromine, there would be differences there. I personally like the nibs because I get a quicker onset of the mood elevation and the mental clarity effects from the nibs. If I chew them, think about it, it's just going to sit in the mucous membranes, and a lot of these compounds can get absorbed in the oral mucosa. So that's one thing probably one reason why I like to use them over just the regular powder. But the powder is also really good as well.
What about for children? Because they have caffeine in there as well, right?
They do. So with children, I mean, I probably wouldn't go beyond, say, maybe less than a gram. Got to be. I'm not that well versed. I don't have any kids.
Right.
So.
I got a daughter. And sometimes I'll give it to her. You want some chocolate? I'm not giving you no milk chocolate. Have some cacao nibs. So I'll be monitoring her to see how she does. Calling the teacher. How does she do in school? Oh, really? All right. I'll look into that. One thing you had spoken about was, which I found interesting, was about vitamin D. You'd mentioned to not take it close to bed. And, I'd heard many times before where people had said, oh, yeah, you could take vitamin D at any point of the day. But you specifically said not before bed. Could you explain that, please?
Yeah. So when it comes to vitamin D, we know that our bodies synthesize vitamin D from the sun. So the issue with this is, if you are supplementing with vitamin D before bed, you're basically signaling, because remember, the sun actually helps to set our circadian rhythm. So if you're telling your body that you're getting a massive influx or exposure to sun just before you're falling asleep, what that does is that vitamin D can actually suppress and lower melatonin. And that melatonin is our master sleep hormone. It's the reason why you're wearing those blue blockers right now.
Yeah.
And it really just doesn't make sense, both from a logical perspective, but also from a scientific perspective. And if you have a look at some geeks that have run experiments, they've actually deliberately used vitamin D in high doses before bed. They've seen drop-offs in their REM sleep and deep sleep scores using the Oura Ring, which I have. I think. Do you have an Oura Ring?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
That's really, really interesting to know, and it makes sense. It does make sense because, I mean, thinking about it, the body naturally would have understood vitamin D as coming from the sun. So that's really interesting. What's first of all, are you sort of like an omnivore? Do you have any specific type of diet? I don't know, carnivore, vegan, fruitarian, pescatarian? Do you follow anything? Like, what's your diet saying?
Geez. Well, I would say maybe in the last probably couple of years, I've always been a big meat eater, animal based, and that's probably, I've taken that to another level. I'm mostly animal based, but I do include. I'm not ditching vegetables completely. I think that just doesn't make sense to me. So I do use specific veggies. There are some veggies that I don't like. So spinach, I don't have any spinach because, rich in oxalates. I know a lot about oxalates. But in general, man, some days, like with my food intake, I joke around with one of my friends that I'm like keto from 9 till 3 p.m. Then I'm carnivore from 3 till 10 p.m. Just silly stuff like that. But realistically, man, I don't adhere to any particular diet per se. I'm just really smart with which foods to select that meet my energy expectations, and also just, you know, foods that I enjoy as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't avoid red meat. I don't even avoid dairy, to be honest. Like I'm fine with dairy. I've gotten my gut to a point where I can tolerate dairy. I can have fruit without issues. So really, I want to be able to enjoy my life and enjoy these foods. So yeah.
Yeah. You have some people that are very seasonal based with their food. They're like, well, at this time of year, we wouldn't really have fruit, so we shouldn't eat it. I guess seasons in Australia is very different. Probably got fruit all the time. I mean, we got fruit here, but you know what's going to be in season and what's not, and much of it is not going to be in season now. However, it's still all available. So that's interesting. Anyhow, you'd mentioned about something about. Did you mention something about meat? What did you say about meat?
Oh yeah. How to not fear red meat.
Yeah, yeah. So there's people who actually fear it. Yeah, if people who are not vegan. I understand vegan people, but would there be anyone else other than vegan?
Yeah, there's still people that are scared of. They've just been told like red meat is bad for you.
Mm.
So that post, I think I did a video on breaking down how to stop worrying about all red meat, because there's the theory that red meat can increase TMAO, which is like a harmful metabolite that can cause heart disease, right? And if you look at it, basically for those who are so paranoid and worried that red meat might contribute to heart disease, which is very debatable and not even true, there are ways to offset, yet again, to minimize its harm reductionist mentality, right? So if you're going to have red meat, then have some balsamic vinegar with it, have some red wine, or have some pistachios. All three of those things can reduce that TMAO buildup, which is the dangerous thing that red meat supposedly increases. So it's like, all right, you're gonna have your red meat. Well, fine, have your red meat. But if you want to stop worrying about it, just have some red wine or some balsamic vinegar, and you're gonna reduce that TMAO production, so you can have your red meat in peace, I guess.
Oh, okay. I've got some balsamic. I'll bear that in mind. And I've got some red meat. So I've never even worried about this TAMO, whatever that is. I don't even think I heard of it before until now. So let me worry about it and then not worry about it. Cool. How do you normally cook your meat? I know there's different, I've heard different things. You hear people say, oh, make sure you don't cremate it, and don't cook it for too long. And there's so many ways I'm hearing. There's right ways and wrong ways. What's your thoughts on cooking your meat to the point where you might destroy too much of its quality? And what's the right way?
Yeah, so it is very clear that overcooking red meat, causing it to burn, like to go black, fully black, is going to be detrimental to physiological function. It's not healthy in general. That's definitely one thing we cannot, we cannot, I don't know if we can offset that, like, I don't know how we can biohack our way out of that, but
Yeah.
maybe that's a product idea, man. Like you got gluten guardian, then you have like burnt red meat guardian.
Yeah, we got to work on that one. That's it. Yeah. So it's also mentioned that, I don't know, there's certain qualities in the meat. If it goes beyond that, it's like even if you cook beyond a medium rare, then it's almost like, oh, that's too much now. Like some people believe like the moment the blood is gone, and that's it. It's too much.
Mm.
What's your thoughts on that? Have you got any thoughts on that?
Geez, I actually don't. I haven't properly delved into what actually happens to some of the. Do you mean the nutritional profile
Yeah,
of the
that's
meat?
correct. Nutritional
Uh,
profile. Simply that.
Gee, I actually don't know what changes. You know, whether the
Mm.
iron content um, lowers or whether the zinc content changes. I'd imagine. I think it would. Yeah, I think there's like by cooking certain foods, even microwave.
Micro. That's like nuking your food, like radioactive. That's
Yeah,
insane.
now
Oh,
banned. Now banned in Russia, I think maybe
oh,
microwaves.
really?
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
It should be banned everywhere, in all fairness. Mind you, I do have one in my house, but I don't recall the last time it was switched on. I just have it there. It's there for emergency. Let's just say that, you know?
They're decorations, yeah, just adds the.
It's that, exactly. Yeah. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Do you eat organ meat?
Yeah, I do. I'm a huge fan of chicken hearts. I really enjoy the flavor compared to like liver. Liver's really disgusting, and
Right.
no matter how much salt or tomato sauce, you know, I still struggle to get the liver down. Um, but kidneys are quite good. I enjoy eating beef kidneys, and they're very. By the way, these organ meats fantastic for male hormonal health. Um, I speak about them in my nootropics course as well. They're definitely like the leading foods that men should be eating to optimize testosterone. So chicken hearts, beef kidneys, chicken liver, um, they're probably my go-tos. I don't really have many other ones. Um, I've used a lot of the glandulars though, like a lot of the glandular extracts as well.
Hmm.
Um, are you a fan? I mean, can you tolerate the liver at all? Or
To be honest, I'm trying to get on that sort of the platform. I hear everybody talking about organ meats like it's a, I don't know, a trend, like it's a new thing. Everyone's excited about it, you know, showing their pictures of organ meat on their plate, and I'm like, I've got no picture to show right now. So I think my stepping stone into eating organ meat is I was thinking about doing a liver pate. I think if I do that, I can just put that on my plate with something else, and that can work if I do it like that. But to have a dry liver on my plate, I think I might vomit violently. As for heart, I think that will literally make my heart palpitate. Uh, I've watched some videos and people make it sound delicious. You know, I really want to try that. I really
oh,
do. But it's the thought that it's a heart. I think that's it. I need to get that out of my head. But kidney, I used to eat kidney all the time. I used to have steak and kidney pie, proper GMO kidney. But yeah, I used to eat kidney a lot. So I think I could definitely start off on that pretty easily, the kidney. Um, and then yeah, maybe work my way through. Yeah, one of those. I need to figure it out. As I said, probably the pate will probably be the way forward. There's loads of different ways you can do that. You know, once you put it in the blender, and you can even chuck in some cranberries in there if you want, just to jazz it up a bit, you know, and spread it on a oat cracker or something. I don't know. Just
yeah,
be creative, you know.
yeah.
I think that would be my introduction to introducing some organ meats. But I just wanted to know your take on it, because I know it's such a big thing with its nutritional density. Some people are like, you need to eat organ meat in your diet. You know, especially as you're a big meat eater and you've taken out a lot of the you've taken out spinach. Do you eat kale?
No, I don't eat kale
No,
either.
no,
No.
no. Um, so does oxalates affect you a lot, or you just
Uh,
don't like the taste, or?
Spinach, I notice like if I have too much, then I will start to notice digestive issues, but it's always delayed. That's why it's so difficult to figure this out. Is that when you eat these foods, you may not notice the symptoms until like the next day. That's why it's really difficult, in particular when it comes to like improving digestive function. That's, I think, the hardest thing is like being so clued on to like, right, which food's affecting me. It's like you went out for dinner last night. For example, there's another food, potato starch. If I eat potato starch, man, I will be not bedridden, but I will just be fatigued for a whole week, like an entire week. Potato starch, I may be allergic to it. I haven't done any testing or whatever, but all I know is that if I consume it, I will be like, my performance will just drop physically in the gym, man. Like when I train, I just feel weaker, so much weaker. Like the next day, I just feel reduced muscle strength, reduced pumps in the gym, like things like that. Just by exposure. In terms of looking at what happens, I mean, we know it's going to be affecting the immune system. Is there some sort of autoimmune based thing that's occurring from these food triggers? Like we know that certain foods can increase the onset of so many diseases if they're sensitive to them and if they affect the immune system. So not that multiple sclerosis runs through my family, but when I eat potato starch, man, I do get a lot of the symptoms of MS. I know it's like, I'm being a little bit paranoid here, but the blood pressure does tank. I do get dizzy. I do feel fatigued. So it's like, scrap that.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm just trying to think. Besides actual proper kryptonite food, I'm just trying to think what might be deemed as healthy but affects me. I think I might have had an issue with spinach before, but if it's raw, if it comes in like in a salad, then I avoid that, But if I steam it, it won't be as bad. But if it's in a salad, I'm like, yeah, I ain't touching that shit. No way. And peanuts as well. If I eat peanuts, then my stomach swells up. I look at least 4.5 months pregnant. It's insane. Gassy. It's probably foggy head as well. Yeah, doesn't quite work for me. What about, let's talk about caffeine. I know you mentioned about certain foods that can slow down caffeine production in the body, and some foods that can speed it up. That's really interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. Talk to me.
Yeah. So when we look at caffeine, we need to understand that it is metabolized by an enzyme in the liver, primarily in the liver. And I think it's a CYP1A2. I'm pretty sure I'll have to double check. But that's the enzyme that basically it's used to metabolize and or excrete caffeine. So what actually happens with a certain family of vegetables, like the brassica family of vegetables, they can actually upregulate or downregulate that enzyme in liver. So it can do that quite significantly. So if we increase that enzyme, you're increasing that enzyme that clears it out, then you're going to have shorter acting caffeine. Like the caffeine is not going to affect you for as long. But if you downregulate that enzyme, then caffeine clearance will take longer. So it just sort of makes sense. If you look at foods that either speed up or decrease that enzyme, then you're going to basically be manipulating how long caffeine lasts. For example, I don't know if you've done a 23andMe genetics test at all.
I've done a genetics test, but not 23andMe. It was I think it was called Circle DNA, and it did say that I was a slow metabolizer for caffeine.
Yeah, same here. I'm the same as you. So I guess we're in a better position there because we're more responsive to caffeine. I'd rather be more responsive than non-responsive.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so the only caveat there is that we have to be careful with it affecting our sleep as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I notice even if I have it at 2, then that's it. I'll be up until 2 o'clock in the morning, or yeah, just super active. Well, thinking I think I could stay up for another day. It's
yeah.
crazy. Um, okay. And what are the foods that would slow down the production of, or the slow the metabolism of coffee and speed it up? Do you have any food
But
types?
yeah, I'm pretty sure that post that I did, it was the brassica-based foods, which
Mm-hmm.
are like Brussels sprouts,
Cauliflower.
broccoli, cabbage, yeah, cauliflower. Pretty sure that they actually slow down the excretion of caffeine. I'll have to double check that just to make sure I'm not getting that the other way around because I've been, but then
If I should check your
yeah,
post.
yeah, I'll just have a quick scan because between that and then the other family was the Apiaceae family, I think. That's also um, been shown to affect caffeine metabolism as well.
So if I have a coffee and eat a cauliflower in the morning, then it will last a bit longer. Or
Ah,
broccoli. What if I blend it with my coffee? Is that the
oh,
trick?
so it's the other way around. So it's the
Right.
brassica vegetables actually speed up caffeine. So broccoli, kale, radish, cauliflower, all those actually speed up caffeine clearance. And then
Right.
the ones that slow down are carrots, celery, parsley, and parsnip.
Okay. I could put some parsley in my coffee. That could work. Yeah, man.
just blend it up in a NutriBullet. Like,
That's what I'm saying, bro. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Well, yeah, you know what? That's it. That's interesting, though. That's interesting. Um, what was I gonna say? Legumes. What's your thoughts on legumes?
I eat them fine. They don't really affect me too much. They do obviously, no matter how good your digestion is, they're still going to cause a bit of bloating and flatulence to a degree.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like no matter how robust and resilient you are, you're still going to get that inevitable increased farting frequency and things like that.
Man, I thought it was just me. Wow, pinto beans, cannellini beans, butter beans. Yeah, I've had moments. I'm like, wow, this is pretty dangerous right now. I don't know,
Yeah.
like, if anyone should be near me. So, yeah, okay, cool, cool, okay, all right. Um, I remember reading Dave Asprey's book, Bulletproof Diet, and he was talking about different nuts, and he was talking about. I think he said that there was a problem with like every single nut. It's like problem. He found something about all of them, apart from one, which was a macadamia nut. I think that was the only one he was like, do you know what? You want a bulletproof nut, macadamia nut is the one which is on top. What's your thoughts on nuts? Is there any which you feel are on the top spectrum? Would you agree? Would you not agree?
Mm, okay. So in terms of, all right, I'm going to look at it from a male hormonal
Mm,
perspective. So like testosterone optimization. The best nuts for that would be macadamias. Yes, macadamia is number one. Then Brazil nuts, and then tiger nuts as well. Tiger nuts. They're not technically a nut, but they're also really good.
Bullets.
Yeah,
I've tried eating that. I thought I was going to lose my teeth. I,
yeah,
I don't understand. Are you supposed to soak them first or something? I remember I bought them and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't eat this. I end up just putting it in my smoothie and it was nice in the smoothie.
mm.
But like, how do you eat that?
Yeah, they're difficult. They're difficult. You can get, I think, roasted. The roasted ones, even they're pretty like really hard to actually bite. Um, they're very high in resistant starch. I'm pretty sure. I think that may affect its composition. But which nuts would I be avoiding in terms of like just for optimizing health? Cashews are not amazing. They don't really have any. They have a little bit of copper, but they're not. Oh, they wouldn't be my go-to if I had like a trail mix. I'm going hiking or whatever. I
Mhm.
wouldn't be just I'd make sure that cashews are less than 5% in my mix.
Right, right. Gotcha, gotcha. They taste all right. They taste all right though. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't think so. What about pecan nuts? What's your thoughts
Ooh,
on those?
pecans. Yeah, they've got some interesting fatty acids in there, like alpha linoleic acid, things like that.
Hmm.
Um, the only they're okay. Yeah, pecans. There'd be some other interesting constituents found in pecan. I might actually just do a post on pecans. Yeah, I need to do
Yeah,
some research. I'll do a
why
post
not?
on it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Cool. I know you'd mentioned about vitamin D, not having it close to bed, and I think you've done another post, which was on pomegranates, saying that it can decrease your melatonin.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah. I was surprised when I read that. I'm like, damn, kind of pomegranate after dinner. Um,
Friggin' heck.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
I normally have that in a salad, make a salad, chuck in some pomegranates. Yeah, man. Obviously, that's in the evening. Well, no. But I would say late afternoon, maybe 5, 6-ish or something like that. But yeah, talk to
yeah,
me. Talk to me. How does it all work out?
yeah. So that study there was, I was quite surprised when I saw that. It basically, they were measuring um, the metabolite of melatonin in subjects that did consume pomegranates. And one thing that they found was like it was a dose dependent relationship, which means that the more pomegranate that they ate, the less melatonin they actually produced. So, in that regard, I would say like a good rule of thumb would be, yeah, don't smash a whole bowl of pomegranate just before bed. Like if you're having a snack, like let's say, I don't know, if you go to bed at like 10 p.m. or whatever, you wouldn't want to be having like a whole thing of pomegranate just before bed. The same will also apply to pomegranate extract and also pomegranate tincture as well. Not just the fruit, but also
Mm,
the, yeah, but I mean, but pomegranate's so amazing though. Like it's got so many powerful medicinal properties in the body. And one in particular that's really, really profound is its amazing effects on gut health as well. Yeah, just minimizing harmful bacteria, supporting the growth of good bacteria, reducing, like having antiviral properties, anti-pathogenic effects. Like it's really a useful tool if somebody's got major digestive issues.
yeah, that's amazing. So if a person is gonna have it, what? I don't know. Stop eating it. Almost like treat it like coffee in a sense. You don't want to have it too late.
Yeah.
Right, right. Interesting. I think you'd mentioned so this cinnamon, which to many is known is people use it to regulate blood sugar levels, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I guess that's sort of like one of the reasons. There's obviously other benefits, but as you were saying, they do have like multiple purposes, but people just find the one thing and it's like, yep, I'm going to take it only for that, you know?
yeah,
Just like zinc, testosterone, that is it.
yeah.
um, but you also mentioned that it could increase your adrenaline. Is that
Mm.
correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, with one of the compounds found within cinnamon called cinnamaldehyde,
Yes, that was
that
it.
can bind to a receptor in the brain. I'm pretty sure it's found in the brain called the TRPV1 receptor, and that can actually influence the body's release. It can prompt the release of adrenaline. Whether or not that lasts for a long time, because adrenaline's very short acting, very quick. You know,
Mm.
we don't have adrenaline pumping all the time for a long time. It's a very short acting bang, just gets you going. But cinnamon, um, and this is part of the reason why it's found in a lot of fat burners. You know, there's like fat metabolizing products or things that help with fat loss, partially due to the fact that it may increase adrenaline, just like chili. You know, chili also binds to that same receptor that can increase adrenaline. So whether or not that's a bad thing, in terms of it's just being smart with timing, you're not going to have a whole teaspoon of cinnamon just before bed because it's probably not going to help with sleep. It's also probably not a great idea to have a shit ton of cinnamon just before training because, well, literally just before training, because adrenaline is vasoconstrictive. And if we're in the gym, we want to get a mad pump. Then, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure, I'm just trying to think. I'm sure there are cinnamon in some teas, like evening teas,
Mm.
cinnamon and pumpkin spice. And, you just sit down and drink it in the evening and your heart's palpitating and you're wondering why. It's got spice in there as well. What the
Yeah.
hell, man? This is crazy. Well, that's interesting. Very interesting. Look, man, I think I covered everything that. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about, but I think I'll definitely want to speak to you more about some other stuff. But I think we covered a fair amount for now. Unless there's anything in specific you want to talk about, anything you
Uh,
wanted.
no, I think that's we've covered a wide variety of things. That's for sure. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been great, man. It's been really interesting. Seriously, it's like you come up with these interesting stuff. As I said, totally out the box. Where can people find you? I know you're on Instagram. What is your Instagram username?
So ergogenic health, ergogenic underscore health. The people can find me on YouTube. I've literally just pivoted. I'm making a huge pivot onto YouTube because I'm
Hmm.
going to be doing a lot more video content. So that's Boost Your Biology. They can literally just search Boost Your Biology on YouTube. Um, and then I've got a website as well, which I have heaps of cool supplements, products, things like that. That's ergogenic.health.
Awesome, awesome. Are you on Twitter at all?
Oh, geez. One of the only, I mean, I am, but I barely use it, but I should probably jump onto it
Yeah,
ASAP.
yeah, yeah. Moments when you want to just do a little bit of micro blogging. It's cool. I go on there just to talk some rubbish sometimes, just random stuff.
Yeah.
I follow Donald Trump just to listen to some of his bogus, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious. The guy he's a comedian as well.
Uh,
Oh man. But Facebook, do you have a Facebook page at all?
yeah, I do. So
You do?
that's ergogenic.health. They'll be able to find me there as well.
Awesome,
Actually
awesome.
run some massive Facebook groups as well. I've got one called Nootropics and Biohacking Australia. I run that group. That's like 3,000 members. Um, and yeah,
Awesome.
a few other cool ones there as well.
Yeah, so you just send me all of the links and I'll put them in the show notes at the moment this podcast is up, and then
Yeah,
everyone will be able
easy.
to find you everywhere. Awesome. No, it's been great, man. Been absolutely great. And I definitely want to check out some of them herbs you were talking about.
For sure.
You know, let's try and remember now. The catawba?
Catwaba.
Catwaba. Yes.
Yeah.
Need me some of that. All right, man. Lucas, it's been incredible. Thank you very much for your time, my friend. Let's catch up again, man. I'm sure there's much more we can cover. This was
Yeah.
just tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, very honored to be here, really. So thanks for having me on the show. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been great. Thank you very much. You take
Cool.
care, sir. Thanks.